the county issued a request for proposals on a piece of land they owned, the backside of the Arlington Mill Community Center. They didn't have a need for that space. They set aside an acre of land, and they said, what can developers propose to put on top of that that would meet some of our affordable housing goals? So we were very fortunate to be selected this October to put up a proposal for 122 new affordable units. And what's exciting about that is not only will that help to offset the loss of some of the other affordable units disappearing from the community, but because it's new construction, we're going to be able to put in a new model of supportive housing there. There's some households, particularly formerly homeless, that need different services, a little more intensive services, people with disabilities. So we will have a suite of units that'll have an on-site caregiver unit, and it will be fully accessible. So we can, in those situations, serve perhaps low-income seniors, children aging out of foster care, need a little more supervision. We're working with Arlington County to identify some hard-to-house populations, but with new construction, we can design it to serve them.
Arlington Mill. Apple was selected last fall to be the developer on this piece of county land. Arlington County is putting in a community center on Columbia Pike. Another innovative step for Arlington County, they decided that they wanted to put affordable housing on the back of that property on top of underground parking. Could have just said, it had some bumps in the road over the last few years, should have just said, done with that, we're going to put in surface parking and be done. But no, they said, let's do a more complicated project and use that public land for the good of affordable housing. Nice job. Our plan for that has already been through Arlington County's form-based code approval process. I think it's a very attractive building, new construction, elevator, 2 stories of underground parking. 80% of the units will be family-sized. We have designed also a special suite of apartments that will be specifically for the hard-to-house and supportive housing. And I think we're excited about that. We work closely with the Department of Human Services. We have a number, as does AHC, of scattered site supportive housing units, but there is a need for some clustered supportive housing with services right on site. We'll also have a community center, playground. If all goes well, we, again, are waiting for our tax credit allocation decision, which should come out in the next month. If all goes well, we'll break ground on that next year, June of 2012, and it should be completed by the end of 2013. Not preserving those affordable units on Columbia Pike, but adding new ones to it. As we know, the other ones are disappearing.
We are on track with Arlington Mill, and we plan to start building in 2012. What's happened in the interim is that we've applied for and secured low-income housing tax credits. We also have appeared before the county concerning the zoning requirements, and most importantly, we have signed the public land for public use, which helps us to build this property at a very low cost. Well, if you have been past Arlington Mill anytime recently, you've seen that HIT Construction has a lot of big holes in the ground, and they're doing all the work to build the Arlington Mill Community Center, and they're building the parking garage. We will build our 4-story, 122-unit property on that parking garage, so we just need to wait until that's ready.
Arlington Mill is one of the, you've heard the mantra, public land for public good. Well, that is on a very valuable piece of public land on Columbia Pike, new construction development that Apple is working on right now. The garage is built, and you'll see it taking form here in the next several months.
This is really a window of opportunity. You looked at that list of projects being developed in Arlington County over the last couple of years. A lot of them were the nonprofits contributing their land back and building new opportunities for housing. It's a great program, and I think we're all going to continue with that, but there's a limit to that. This is a new opportunity, looking at existing county-owned land, and is there a way to do a partnership there? There's other communities around the country that have done this work. Our city next door, Alexandria, has affordable housing on top of their fire station. This is on the back of a new community center. I think this has got to be an important part of where we're going in the future. And the economics of this have worked well for everybody. You saw on that list there was $4 million of AHIP being committed to this project. That's actually 100% a bridge loan. When we close on our tax credit financing in August, all that will be repaid, and Apple will be paying $1.5 million to Arlington County as ground rent, upfront ground rent for the lease. So this is actually going to be a positive project in terms of cash for Arlington County, and it's leveraging the county's real estate. And I think that's something we have to start looking at for the future.
The development of affordable housing at the Arlington Mill site was a response to a sharp decline in affordable housing in the county.
But I think the most important piece of this is it's really talking about the changing diversity and affordability in our community. In 2000, 17,500, 46% of our multifamily rental housing stock was, as Chris Lopiano called it, market affordable, naturally occurring affordable, 46%. As of 2011, we're down to 13%, 5,300. Dramatic change in who can live in this community. Dramatic change in who's able to access our wonderful schools and parks and services. As one county board member just said in a budget hearing, we spend a lot of time worrying about our housing grants and our food assistance and our medical care, but that isn't even going to be accessible if we don't have housing for people to live in this community.
In places like the bars in Clarendon or Arlington County Fair, lots of conversations touched on the loss of affordable housing in the community.
The housing in Arlington is very, very expensive. And since I'm kind of early on my career, so I wanted to save money, it was a real pain to find affordable housing at first.
I think it's important to keep talking about the value of inclusivity and diversity and the richness that having people with different income levels brings to a community. Because we have a lot of young people moving here from all over the place who do have good jobs and maybe don't understand that everyone hasn't gotten the privileges that they have to go to college and grad school and be able to command a higher salary. But it's a richness in our community that we don't want to lose.
Eventually I would like to be a homeowner in Arlington, but with what it's like finding rental housing in here, I can't even imagine trying to find something that's affordable, to purchase. So we'll see.
The issues are in Arlington. It's basically economics, and the neighborhoods are what they are because of the economics of where they are. If we don't do something to help those folks who are our teachers and firemen and who help us with the necessary things of life, we're going to be missing them. And because at this particular time, it's very difficult for a teacher or a fireman or a policeman to live in the areas because of the economics of the situation.
But I also could not have come anywhere close to affording a place here in Arlington.
I would love to move back to Arlington. Unfortunately, I'm an art major, so I don't know that I'll ever be able to afford to live in Arlington as an artist.
Now I think there's more of a understanding, although I don't think there's the understanding that we really need yet from the community, and particularly from the business community. Right. I mean, a lot of businesses, hospitals, restaurants, hotels, etc., can't really find workers that live in Arlington or can afford to live in Arlington. Right. So it's really important, I think, for them to think through what they can do to help support affordable housing. So the population thinking about it has grown, although we still got a long way to go.
Yeah, sure. Arlington Mill has been a project of your organization for, I want to say a long time, but it's finally going to come to completion sometime this year.
It's very exciting.
Tell us about Arlington Mill.
And we moved, actually, in our world fairly quickly. We got all of our approvals for our design in March of 2011. We got our financing in June of 2011. Took us about a year to finalize our plans and broke ground with the county. The county actually built the parking garage that we share for us. So that happened in the summer of 2012, and 18 months later we should have 122 homes ready to move in.
Right, just to be clear though, when you came up with the idea for the larger community center and the affordable, construction wasn't underway. That was all still part in back in the planning process.
Exactly. The county bought an old grocery store. I can't remember.
I think it was a Safeway.
Safeway, right. They bought an old Safeway and they used it for a few years as a community center and then decided that their ambitions were greater than that. They just didn't want to have a reused one-story grocery store, but something that really could be purpose designed. So that was really a long community process. APA wasn't quite at the table. We take part in advocacy discussions in our community, but we weren't actually selected as the developer until years later.
I also understand there's a lot of interesting things planned for the residents. I mean, in terms of developing community services there. So what are some of the ideas?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's got an innovative design where we will have a very large community center that opens onto a playground area that's built on top of this parking garage. So we'll have a tot lot that can be used for all the children. The property we're designing has 80% of the units are family-sized, 2 and 3 bedrooms. So we're expecting lots of kids to be there. We have already received some grant funding to put in a resident services program. I think we'll emulate what we've done at some of our other properties, things like English as a second language, computer literacy, financial literacy. We work with some of the stronger nonprofits in our community that bring programs to our residents, and we try and do that after we've assessed what the residents' needs are. We work with a group called Greenbrier Learning Center to do after-school enrichment. They've expressed some interest to coming to Arlington Mill as well. We've worked with AFAC, Arlington Food Assistance Center, to help families with food insecurity on the lower end of our income spectrum. And of course, an important partner for us will be the county. They're putting in this brand new 5-story community center. So we hope to work with them hand in glove. They're going to have a Head Start program there for low-income preschoolers, senior lunch program there for low-income seniors, kind of a therapy, physical fitness center, mostly focused again on seniors, and then this group REAP, which works out of Arlington County Public Schools, will run English as a second language courses, and that's not the end of it. They're still in the process of sort of figuring out how they're going to use this beautiful new space.
Right. I don't think maybe people realize that your organization does a lot of building and developing, but there's then the services, the community, building the community, whether it's in partner with some of these groups or somebody else who designed, is an important part of it.
Absolutely.
Partnerships to provide services can seem complicated, with lots of details to work out.
Financing, partnership agreements, this deal at Arlington Mill, we're on top of the county's parking garage. We have a 50-page, it's called reciprocal easement agreement. Who pays for when the station at the entrance to the parking garage goes down? Who cleans the loading dock? Who runs the security camera? How do we book our space together? So we have a wonderful staff that I'm proud to say many of them have come to APA specifically for the mission. So in our development team, for example, we have a former staff person from Clark, former staff person from Kettler, and a former staff person from Aimco, a REIT. So these 3 are all Arlington residents that came because they wanted to do something in their community, but they're bringing this whole range of the for-profit real estate development sector's strengths.
As construction continued on the residences, Arlington Mill began accepting applications for new residents. Interest in the community was overwhelming.
We were expecting around 100, maybe 200 people at maximum, but at the end was around 3,000 people who come for complete the waiting list application.
Finally, residents started to move into Arlington Mill. the community celebrated with a grand opening in March.
We were awarded the RFP for this in October of 2010. So what is it now? March of 2014. I often say this is a combination of a marathon and a sprint. So there are months throughout this last 3 years when we've been sprinting, and then it's the end of the marathon, and it's a very big celebratory time. And to me, the most important part is the residents. Having residents move in, it's no longer an abstraction for us, it's a reality. It's a home. That's pretty neat, pretty exciting.
And any difficulties, challenges that you didn't foresee maybe the last 6 months or so?
There are always difficulties. That's our job. We overcome hurdles. We work through mazes. We work through obstacle courses. The last 6 months in particular, the end process of completing a building and getting a certificate of occupancy is always more complicated than it seems. So yes, there's one more light fixture. There's one more door that didn't quite open right, something that isn't placed right. I respect a lot the permit officials at Arlington County, but in a building of this size, they've got something new for us every day. So it takes a little longer to finish than we expect, but a wonderful product at the end of the day and well worth the wait.
The model apartment shown at the grand opening shows that affordable housing can be comfortable and quality housing. For new residents like Veronica, Arlington Mill felt like home from the very start.
So why did you decide you wanted to try to live here at Arlington Mill?
Well, I wanted to move to a place that had an elevator. I'm getting older, so I need easy access instead of going up the steps. And I just wanted to live here because it's a brand new place, and I've been living in Columbia Grove for about 11 years now. And so my husband and I said, well, let's try to move to the new place they're building, you know. And Miss Pete, a lady that's on the board, she said, Veronica, you should try to get one of those new apartments. So I said, oh, I'll give it a shot. So I did, and I got picked in the lottery. So I'm really excited about it.
Congratulations. So how does it feel about, you're looking forward to Saturday, your moving day? How's that feel?
Well, it feels good. I mean, you know, moving is a job, but I'm excited about moving and getting into my new place.
And have you met any of the neighbors yet, or will that come later?
Actually, a couple of people that lived in Columbia Grove have already moved here, and they were actually my neighbors. One of the guy was my neighbor, and another lady lived in the next building to me. So it's going to be like, just moving home, you know.
Arlington County continues to work at providing more affordable housing. For projects like these that build community, it can be hard work. It's good to keep in mind something Nina Janopal said back in 2010.
This is not for the faint of heart, but it is also an opportunity for us to know who our community is.